Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire #After Dark Champions League show. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. We are here to discuss what happened in today's Tuesday Champions League slate with matches between Dortmund and Atletico Madrid and Barcelona and PSG. I got what crazy games. I was horrible in DFS today, but the games were so entertaining that it made it worthwhile, fortunately. I'm joined as usual by Ryan Belongia, and then Mo Hendy, he is back to join us on the program. Mo just absolutely demanded, otherwise I face legal consequences if he's not on the program. And Mo's a great guest. We're happy to have him on and talk about the slate today and break down what happened today. And as Ryan said, we needed a little bit of a morale boost. So, Mo, how are you doing? How did today's slate go for you?
I'm doing well. Today's slate went terribly for me. Today it felt like the slate of falling daggers. It's just like one thing after another. It was Araujo red card. Lamine Yamal subbed at the 35th minute or something. Aspi picking up his yellow card right before halftime, and then going off at half. So many plays that immediately killed you, and then so many plays later that if you didn't have them, you were pretty dead. So similar to you, a very entertaining slate, not as successful.
Ryan, how did I go for you? I have my cash team up here, and it looks like I somehow lost to you, even though you played the worst chalk of the season and Cesar Azpilicueta as a quote-unquote wingback in this spot. I'm glad he didn't score a goal because I've that's gone the other way on me, and it's suffered after I've done that. But he scored a negative, so you got nice yellow cards and red cards in your lineup, Ryan. But you had to have done. Oh yeah, you played Griezmann. You had to have done something right compared to me. But it wasn't good for either of us. I don't know. What are your grievances for the slate?
Man, I mean, I could air grievances for the whole hour, but it's pretty sad that I beat you with the double negative there. Azpilicueta and Araujo or Araujo, however you say his name, for Barca with the red card. I don't know. My cash lineup sucked, but yeah, I don't know. I'm glad we got Mo on. I said we needed him for morale. I got curb stomped again. And I mean, okay. So I told you guys pre-show, I started all my high stakes and GBP lineups with Mbappe, Fulkrug, Hakimi, all smashed. And I cashed nothing. If you didn't basically stack the right Dortmund guys and PSG guys, you were pretty much dead. I don't know. I'm just frustrated. I feel like I got the slate right for the most part, but still got crushed. Sort of the same thing happened to me yesterday in that showdown. Not to, go off topic too much, but in that Chelsea showdown with Cole Palmer scored another 4 goals. I played 18 out of 20 Petrovic lineups in King of the Pitch. I was way over on Nicholas Jackson. I played Cole Palmer on every lineup, and I got a 20th of my investment back just for not captaining Cole Palmer. So, you get the whole slate right and you get absolutely crushed. Today, I jammed Dortmund, way over on Fulkrug and Mbappe. I played Hakimi on every lineup, was under on the Barca guys, and just got crushed. I don't know. It's one of those, I don't know. I'm just frustrated. Somebody else talk.
Yeah, I'm just looking at lineups. I'm trying to find one actionable takeaway. It's tough to find one when there's a red card and it's leg 2 of a Champions League slate. Everything kind of gets a little bit nuts. But I think my main takeaway on the slate that's actually a lesson is that there were a few plays that we were just dying to play, right? We weren't dying to play Julian Brandt. You could play him and he went off, right? We were uncertain about what direction, where to go. And I think this opened up the case where you can just start to play for wacky game scripts. So features of the winners in this King of the Pitch ticket contest, which is a smaller field, they were playing a lot of Dortmund pieces. And that was something I wouldn't think would be optimal necessarily, but you could see how it could go well for Dortmund. And when you're not battling a lot of huge roles and great matchups like we might in a Premier League slate, when there's just loaded midfielders, I think you can start to consider going just for strange game scripts, playing a lot of Dortmund guys. That was something that was successful. It wasn't successful for me on a personal level, but, playing underdogs like PSG and Dortmund, I think was viable given how the slate set up with there wasn't a must play.
Jack, Sabitzer dropping 32. I was expecting you to win everything, and to hear that. You tout him on every single slate, and he's the one guy you need. We talked about Fulkrug. I figured Fulkrug and Sabitzer was like your core. You said you weren't going to get off Mbappe either. So Jack, I mean, I was expecting you to ship every contest. What happened?
I got off Mbappe, and let me tell you why I did that. It's because I'm an idiot, right? So I don't know. I'm looking at Mbappe, and I did the show with this guy Ryan Belongia. He's like, PSG stink. I don't want to. I don't want to deal with this. And so I'm like, maybe PSG kind of stink if Ryan says that's the case. So I'll stop playing Mbappe, who's just done nothing but give me pain, and he's continued to give me pain. I did play him in this one lineup, which I was happy with how it went in King of the Pitch. I mean, I was 50 points short. The person who won just absolutely nuked. But, I had Dembele and Mbappe, and I had Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, and I thought all those guys were good plays in a potentially good game script for PSG. They certainly looked like frauds early. I was going to lose because I was playing Gundogan and everything, but I thought that made sense as a bring back. I had my boy Sabitzer. This lineup wasn't really speculating for goals that much, but there was room for no clean sheets on this particular slate. I just didn't get there necessarily, but this was my favorite lineup. And I did play Sabitzer and Mbappe once, so I respect myself at least a little bit. But, it's a qualifier, so $0. Nice try.
Jack, if we're talking takeaways, I always say that like these slates are decided by cheap goals and assists, right? And so I remember when Rafinha scored at the start, and certain people were celebrating, nailing that selection, and I was just like, okay, your 10.2 play got a goal. Nothing's done yet. I was actually kind of pleased that PSG was in positive game script from that point on, because that worked for Dembele and Mbappe and it panned out here. I think, as soon as Sabitzer started getting that first assist and was on 10 points, and then definitely once he got the goal, that's when I was like, okay, I can close the laptop now, right? It's always going to be about those like cheap plays that nuke. And he was the one today who I was not on. There was other ones that I wasn't on as much, like Brandt and so on, but even him at 8K was not as hurtful as some guy like Sabitzer, who, 30 points, 5.4K, just like you said, you'll see him in every top lineup. So
Ryan, what do you think about that?
If you want a takeaway, my takeaway is cheap plays with lots of points work magic.
Yeah, Sabitzer, he should have scored in like the second minute too.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember that.
And yeah, I guess I'm a little annoyed that I didn't play him more, and just like in, I guess, my main build. I guess you could say hindsight, but didn't really want to play any Atletico players on this slate. You're looking for guys who are like for sure going to play 90 minutes and needing to chase the game, and Sabitzer is one of those. There's not a lot of other guys. I mean, I jammed Sancho and I've had a lot of Adeyemi and Fulkrug, but I don't know why I just didn't get there on Sabitzer. It's frustrating. That the Rafinha too. Yeah, I agree with everything that Mo said. I mean, Rafinha lineups didn't even get close today, and he scored the first goal at 10 points. That was annoying too, because I thought he was going to end up pretty popular, and I thought he was a pretty good fade. So I was really annoyed with that goal at the start. I mean, thought it might be an own goal. Then I see, comes off his plant leg. It's just like, this is just super annoying. I played 0 Yamal and way under on Rafinha. Not like any of that stuff even mattered in the end, but yeah, I don't know. Like another one of these Champions League slates where, I mean, how many goals were there today? Another 10? These goals had like 18 goals in between the two ties. Yeah, 11 goals today. Just crazy. I don't know if we're going to get that tomorrow, but
I hope not.
I remember touting, we touted that Real Madrid City match as low scoring, and it went 3-3. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, profitable in UCL just to do the opposites, although we are trying our best here. Yeah, I'm scrolling through more lineups. I had the wrong contest up on YouTube. It was a qualifier for a $25 King of the Pitch ticket. So that's, how I try to grind those. But I'm just looking at other good players, playing guys like Matson and, players on Dortmund who were in good spot and could potentially score goals. So I think with all of that, yeah, I mean, an expensive player scores a goal, but that was like the table stakes for Rafinha. I think that's a really sharp takeaway there, Mo. All right. Anyone else have to get anything off their chest for this particular slate, or should we go ahead and dive in to the slate? I need to pull up the one on the cheat sheet tomorrow where we have Bayern is hosting Arsenal, so I think Bayern are slight favorites in this spot. Yeah, just under 40%. And I was surprised that the total was not higher in that matchup. That game has a 3.15 implied goal total. I think for comparison, there's a 3.5 implied goal total between Barcelona and PSG today. I guess Arsenal have a good defense, and that's being respected in the data about whoever is helping bet and form these numbers. So I did think that was interesting, especially when it seemed like defenses on both sides were suspect. And then Manchester City are pretty solid favorites, 58% to win at home to Real Madrid in a fixture that's had just spectacular goals, and it finished 3-3. They have a 2 implied goal total, although Real Madrid, they are favored to score a goal. They have a 1.2 implied goal total. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We can talk about the matchups, but I should just bury the lead here. The pricing's kind of ridiculous on this slate. Arsenal are priced like they're a total doormat, and I like to joke about Arsenal as much as the next guy. But outside of Saka being 9,200, when you have all the Bayern and Arsenal guys in 6,000, DraftKings is really funneling us into that matchup, which seems like it'll have the better script despite the lower overall total. It seems like both teams are more likely to score 2 goals each. So, what was your takeaway when you first opened the slate, Mo?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the first thing I said when I saw the numbers is Sane 5.5. How on earth do you arrive at that pricing? And obviously he was 6K last week and he didn't do much and he didn't play on the weekend. So there's a pathway there. It just doesn't make sense given what's going on for them. They've got lots of injuries. He's a lock for heavy minutes and so on. So yeah, no, I think they are definitely funneling us in that direction. It's not like the other side is too expensive either. Haaland is 8.6, and that's still, I will always say too cheap for him. He didn't show up in the last game, and he doesn't really have a record of showing up in Real Madrid games. But now that I've said that, he's a lock. And so, I think the pricing here is not quite, play whoever you want because the big guys are still quite expensive, but it doesn't necessarily, kind of put you in as many tough decisions as you might expect to face. So, those are my initial thoughts, I think. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Sane was the one that stood out first, 5,500. That's just ridiculous. Seemed kind of straightforward from like a cash optimal point of view. Like, I don't know that you really want to play any Madrid players. Maybe you can make an argument for Vinny Jr. Like, I guess really the only decision for me is, do you spend up at second forward? Like, do you play a Foden or a Vinny? I guess that's really the only decision because it seems like a pretty straightforward slate. Like, you're going to play KDB, you're going to play Kimmich, you're going to play Saka, you're going to play Sane. There's 4 of you guys, and just figure it out. I don't know.
So I have a question for you about the Real Madrid guys. In the group stage, Bellingham was 10K, and every week we would kind of be like, no way that makes sense. And every week he would blow us away or blow anyone who faded him away. Now he's all the way down to 7.3, and I'm still inclined to think that it's a tough play, but is the lower price point doing anything for you?
Yeah, for tournaments for sure. But I mean, like, playing guys away to City sucks,
Right.
Like, he scored 2 points last game at home. Both teams had XGs under 1. Yeah, I mean, great player, and he's normally priced much higher. So, like, yeah, for tournaments for sure, but I don't know. Like, we never really consider guys at these price tags when they're away to City. Yeah, that's kind of my thought.
That was my takeaway too, Ryan. You stole it from me. Like, both these teams had under 1 expected goals each, and it's away to City. So I just don't think the floor is going to be there for Bellingham. But as a tournament option at 7,300, when there's plenty of ways to fit in Bellingham in a balanced construction, if balanced constructions are the way to proceed in tournaments, you have to consider at least mixing in Bellingham if you're going to make a ton of lineups. And if the play is going to be contrarian, it might as well be the best midfielder in the world overall. Maybe we can dig into the forward position, at least talking about cash, because that seems like the main decision. Because I thought the table stakes were you just plug in, we're going to play Saka and we're going to play KDB. And then I thought I'm probably going to play Kimmich. And then there seemed like plenty of options. Like you had Sane or other slightly inexpensive forwards. I don't know. Kimmich just didn't really do too well in the reverse fixtures. So that made me pessimistic. But I also think I ran bad. So maybe he's not a must to me, but he's like Julian Brandt. You got to play him in cash, but I'll be looking to fade him in a GPP lineup. I think I'm doing 2 lineups. So what are you going to do about the second forward position? I mean, you could use Sane in a lot of spots in your lineup, and it is possible to fit in a Phil Foden, who's just been in unreal form. So we have what Pew called the control lineup when he was on the show, projected for Manchester City, where we have Rodri and Bernardo and Grealish. Do you think that this is going to be a good spot to pay up for Foden in cash, Mo, or are you favoring more of a balanced approach? Is that what you think would be optimal?
Every show I feel like there's like a hill that I die on, and like, I'm totally okay with that. I still remember, completely calling Martinez the wrong way and having him have 10 shots, even though I expected him to have no floor. Foden's going to be that hill. I think at the pricing that he has relative to everybody else, he's going to be very low owned in my lineups. And I get it. Like, Foden's an amazing player. I've played him in plenty of City slates. I think I've played him when he's been the highest priced player. But here, to have a 1,600 price difference between him and Haaland, to have I think 1.2 price difference between him and Kane. There's just so many guys, and then obviously 1.1 between him and Saka. There's so many guys that I want exposure to at the forward spot that aren't Foden and aren't as expensive, that I just don't think I'm going to have much of him in there.
What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, I feel the same as Mo. I felt the same last slate and felt pretty unlucky because I nailed it. Foden ended up being like the highest owned player on the slate besides Saka last week because KDB randomly didn't start and everybody just went to jam Foden. He was 9,200. He had 2 floor points until he scored a worldie. Nobody played $5,900 Grealish. He was 20%, but no, we want to jam 9,200 Foden at Real Madrid with 0 floor. He did score that sick goal and what ended up with 16 or whatever. I think it's a better spot here at home. You can't ignore the form that Foden's been in. I mean, he's just what an incredible player. So could he be the one you need? Yeah, for sure. But I'm fine fading him at that price tag. It's just it's probably too expensive. But probably, they price him like that because he's just been so good. So, I couldn't really fault anybody for playing him here.
Yeah, for me, I think we've said we say this for pure strikers, but we don't often say it for players like Foden because they have a better floor. But to me, when a player gets priced at 10K, generally speaking, he's going to need goal assist or 2 goals to sink me, right? He might still help out a lot of people if he gets just the goal or just the assist and a bunch of peripherals, but it feels like he really needs that smash game to be a lock play. And so it's do I think that is more likely, or do I think that, a Haaland goal or a similar performance from a Kane or even Sane or something is on the table? And so when I do that analysis, I come out on the side of the not Foden player. So that's kind of what's supporting that play. Yeah.
I think the other side of that is that if you play Phil Foden, especially as a second forward, I mean, we do have smash spots for Saka and KDB. So you are going to be, I don't think you should have Foden over any of those two. And then you put in Foden as well. You have spent, I believe, almost 60% of your salary. And we are being presented with a slate where the mid-range is absolutely loaded with options. And especially from tournaments, I feel like many of these players could score a goal and make a big difference. Like Havertz at 5,700 could score a goal and make a big difference. Martinelli, 6,600. Thomas Muller, 6K. Leroy Sané, 5K. Even Musiala at 7K. And when the table stakes for getting there is absolutely a goal, just like it's an analogous situation to Rafinha Mo, I think I'm just going to echo there. I mean, if you know what the ownership is, maybe you can calculate if he's a good pivot in tournaments. But at the cost of having to play a punt when I don't really think there is a particularly good punt, it's tough to get excited.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jack, I have a question for you. Kane, he's the Arsenal killer. He's playing at home. What are your thoughts?
I want to play him. See if he can just deliver the death blow to Arsenal's season. And I'm wondering how many people are going to play him as like an actual sincere take, because if you scroll up to the goal odds, Haaland is -110 to score a goal, which is pretty modest for Erling Haaland, especially at home. But it's a tough matchup against Madrid. I mean, Madrid, I think, are Opta's best. These are this quarterfinals has Opta's 2 best teams according to their rankings facing off against each other, which is kind of a disappointment, but kind of awesome because we get 2 legs instead of 1 leg in a final. But, Kane is pretty close to Erling Haaland. I mean, it makes a big difference with percentage-wise, hashtag math. But at plus 125 and at 9,100, I don't think people are going to be rushing to play him necessarily. He seems like a great option in tournaments, just because he takes penalties and can score a brace. So I like that just because he has the brace upside on a 2-game slate. But thinking about, do I want to play him with other Bayern Munich teammates? Like, you can play Müller with him at 6K or something like this. Maybe you play Sané just because he's a good value. But I'm just concerned that why would I play Bayern forwards when I can play Arsenal forwards at cheaper? It feels, especially, I don't know, maybe the game just goes off and it doesn't matter. I think there's just a bunch of players who can go off, but I still feel like Arsenal are probably going to possess the ball here. I don't know, Ryan, what do you think? You're the Arsenal guy. Do you think Arsenal can have like 60% possession, or do you see that there might be floor here, shots and chances created for the Bayern Munich players?
Yeah, I see it kind of equal. Kind of disappointed with Arsenal last week at home against Bayern. I didn't think they created or possessed as much as they should have, or as much as I thought they were going to. Same thing over the weekend against Villa. I think they're going to come here and they're going to be, morale is low. Nerves are going to be high. They haven't been scoring. They've had, bad memories of going to Bayern. So, I don't really see it like that. I mean, and kind of all the Arsenal forwards besides Saka, get subbed and don't really have a floor. I mean, they're all cheap, but no, I don't think they have higher floor than Sané or like a Musiala point per dollar. I think it's all the same. And then Kane, I mean, I can't play Kane, but I get it. Could see him scoring a pen here. I don't know, Jack. It's a tough game to predict. You don't really know how Arsenal's going to come out. I mean, I still do think they're the better team, but they haven't been great the last 2 matches, and we'll see what's up with Odegaard. We didn't really mention that, but he got subbed off over the weekend. He did train today. Apparently he's a doubt. If he didn't start, I'd be a little worried because Arsenal is so used to playing through him. They kind of have all season, and especially in tougher spots, they lean on him to control things. So if he wasn't in there, I think that'd be a big loss. And just in general, I think it's going to be a nervy match for both sides, but for Arsenal too. I can't see them just coming out and blitzing Bayern.
Well, I mean, in that case, that puts Bayern players on the menu if you think that can look like it. So, Mo, you asked me.
But I also, Bayern players are on the menu, but at the same time, I guess I should say I still think Arsenal's defense is amazing and their midfield is great, especially if Odegaard starts. They should be very hard to score against. Bayern's 2 goals last week were fortunate, or one. Did they score 1 or 2? I don't remember. 1, 2, 2. Yeah, I thought they were very fortunate. Arsenal aren't gonna look for the Arsenal lineup because we're hoping Tomiyasu starts. They can't play Zinchenko, obviously. If Zinchenko starts, then that's a big plus to these Bayern guys. Licking their chops. That's Sané on that side with Zinchenko in there. He just can't defend anybody. That's been clear for a while now. So you want to see Tomiyasu in there. If you're an Arsenal fan, or if you're hoping that Arsenal are going to keep them at bay. So you definitely pay attention to the lineup. Odegaard's important. Tomiyasu's important.
Any chance we get Kivior back in the lineup?
Yeah, maybe, but like if Tomiyasu's fit, I think he will start. I don't know. Like Kiwior had been pretty good, but he's had quite a few nervy moments too. I wouldn't really like him out there. He's still nervous in these spots. I would prefer someone like Tomiyasu. But yeah, Kiwior would be better than Zinchenko. Zinchenko, he just can't compete physically with these guys. He's just not quick enough, fast enough. I mean, he's a liability.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. I think the Arsenal lineup will definitely be the one I keep a closest eye on, because I really think Odegaard is probably their most irreplaceable player. It's just that midfield is going to have a completely different dynamic without him running the show. And so if he's not in there, or if if there's any sort of note about his status being less than 100%, which it already is in there, but if we get something more, might influence me to go a little heavier on buying.
I guess my takeaway from this conversation is that we do want to look, you want to mine the Arsenal and Bayern value. I don't know, Ryan, in like a larger GPP though, do you see a contrarian value in a Rodrigo at 7,400 and a Vinny Jr. at 8,900? I think these are two names with recognition who have done well recently. So do you perceive that you get a rostership discount there, or would you just rather play more, I don't know,
I think
better projected plays?
I think that's fine. I think either of those guys would be fine. But I would say fine in like game stacks more. Like just in general, I don't know. This slate to me seems like a game stack slate. And I don't know which one it's going to be, but you can see either of these games like underwhelming in terms of floor, more so than today's games. At least that's what I think. Arsenal are hard to score on. Bayern's going to be tough to score on. We've talked about Madrid City. I mean, we know it went off last time, but there's expensive players in that game and maybe not much floor on the Madrid side. So I think you want to pick one of the games, because one game probably will go off, rather than just like trying to pick the best play from each of the games,
Makes enough sense to me. What do you think, Mo?
No, I agree with all of that. I know we're still talking a little bit Bayern Arsenal, but I can't help but think that this is such a great Rodri matchup. It's going to be tight to start. It's going to be very defensive. Real Madrid kind of start cagey with Man City last year, and same with this year, I think, although the game obviously went off in scoring afterwards. And so if it is tight, even though the odds don't suggest, even though the implied goals don't suggest that, I think, it'll be a lot on Rodri to, hit that magical goal from outside of the box or something, or at least he'll take several attempts and tries at it. So, we haven't shifted to midfield yet. I'll let you make that segue. But
you just shifted into midfield. You made the segue, and we are going to talk about midfield right now. And I think this was something that when we had Pew 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 on, he mentioned, okay, maybe not Rodri as the play at the Bernabeu, but on the reverse fixture, he's a player who, when he's priced at this range, he certainly can make a difference. Now, normally I consider playing Rodri. He's 5,900 when, all these Arsenal guys would be 7 to 8K. So there is a little bit of opportunity cost when you compare it there. But that actually might keep Rodri's rostership a little bit low, which is somewhat interesting. But yeah, I mean, looking at the midfield only position, I think KDB 10.1K. I mean, he just projects insane. I know I don't have the machine Mo for UCL, but like the numbers that get spit out for Kevin De Bruyne in any matchup are just outrageous. And you might think, 10.1, he's just a not fade. Like his floor is just his role is absolutely insane, and he has a ceiling to pay it off. So that's not a player who's too expensive whatsoever. We talked about Jude Bellingham as a contrarian option in GPPs at 7,300, a player who can score a goal, though we're not necessarily expecting much floor. Jack Grealish is now at 7,100, so we'll see if Ryan wants to play him. We have Kimmich and Cash at 6,500, and then going down to Rodri. But then there's still more names to talk about. There's Declan Rice at 5,600, who takes some of the set pieces, and maybe he's going to have to take a more attacking role, sort of depending on how the game script goes. So I don't know, Ryan, what do you want to do about the midfield position in this slate? It seems like there is a lot of options.
Yeah, I kind of just want to play the set piece takers, to be honest. KDB seems like an easy click. Kimmich is a little bit cheaper. I know he busted last time, but that was kind of a different spot. Or, they just, the way the script went in that game, it was never going to be good for Kimmich. Bayern kind of had scored early and kind of had to lead the whole game. But other than that, Kimmich has been doing great for DFS. Still taking most of the sets, and he just feels safe on this slate where there's just not I'm kind of just crossing off Madrid from a cash game point of view. So the options are just sort of lower. I agree that Rodri he in a way reminds me of Sabitzer a little bit, and that there's not a lot to like on this slate, and you have sort of a center mid in the upper 5Ks who's for sure going to play 90 and can get you a goal or an assist. Someone like that might be more valuable on this slate. I do like Grealish, though. Yeah, I played Grealish last slate, and he saved me. Like, he's 3,100 less than Foden. It feels like too big of a gap to me. Pretty confident he's going to play 90 minutes. Like, to me, I don't think their floors are that much different. So it's just Foden's been in great goal scoring form. So yeah, I think Grealish is fine in any format. You can go either way on Kimmich, Jack. I agree with you. I think for cash, I would want Kimmich though. Just 6,500 at home and taking almost all the sets on a slate. Like, I mean, who are you playing if you don't play Kimmich? Like, I don't get it. And again, I'm talking like cash here, but I don't see where you go. I guess unless you want to spend up, like, I don't know, do you punt there and spend up a defender? It just doesn't seem like the right move to me.
I guess you can see that maybe it's a good game script for Declan Rice, who can play at a midfield position. You can play Leroy Sané in a midfield spots if you wanted to play another forward, like if you want to play a Musiala. I see routes to fading him, but I think it's like a Julian Brandt, Ryan. I think it's just like I have to capitulate. Josh Kimmich is probably the move. You just take the role in that sort of spot. It's basically a toss-up. Take the set pieces, play him in cash, but whatever. In the lineup, I put in the scissor kick. I don't think I'll be playing Kimmich. Mo, what do you think?
Can you just pull up Kimmich's game logs real quick? Because
absolutely,
guys, these game logs are incredible. Since he moved to right back, he is a machine. He goes 90. He takes almost all the corners. He puts an insane amount of crosses. Again, it's in the Bundesliga. It's not in the all UCL. But, at 6,500, I think I'm going to be very heavy here. And I'm biased to Kimmich. I've always liked him regardless. But I would push back against the suggestion that he's like Brandt, because Brandt, I really did not want to play. I'm really going to be hard pressed not to be playing Kimmich in a lot of my lineups. I will say all the other guys I've mentioned, like Rodri, I'm talking about him in the context of like an exciting tournament play. I don't think the two will be lining up in my mind in cash at all. I think Kimmich takes the easy win there. So that's how I feel about him, Jack. I implore you to put him in your scissor kick lineup. But, I'm sure come game time, I'm sure he won't be there.
I am a stubborn person, and I love to put a fade in here. I mean, you are right. He kind of bullies the Bundesliga. Is 12 points going to be enough? I mean, I just see all the goal scoring options, Mo, and I feel like if I can pick the goal scorers correctly in this sort of spot, and we have another, match where there's 8 goals, I'd probably prefer that to like a 14-point game from Joshua Kimmich. But then again, if he drops 20 and gets an assist like he just did over the weekend, I don't know, Ryan. Do you think it's a good matchup for Josh Kimmich? I think he's on the flank against. He's a right back, right? Well, why don't you talk about it more?
I guess it really just depends on what happens at the start of the game. Like if Bayern score the first goal, then Kimmich is going to be a bad play.
Yep.
Arsenal are going to chase and they will dominate possession, and Bayern probably won't have many set pieces. If it goes the other way and Arsenal score, I mean, Kimmich is the lock of the slate. So it's tough. If you fade Kimmich, I think you're going to want to have someone else on Bayern probably that scores the goal that, leads to Kimmich not being optimal. I mean, it doesn't happen like that all the time. But, and then, if that doesn't happen and it's just sort of like neutral or whatever else, I agree with Mo. Like, he's cheap and he's been great. And on a slate where, like, what do I do if I don't play Kimmich? I said I'm not playing Madrid guys. So then what? I don't know. Like, no one on Arsenal has a floor besides Saka. I mean, Rice, Declan. Yeah, you can play Declan Rice. I agree. But, like, there's still another spot. There's still a flex spot. So you can play both. Yeah, seems like a pretty good play to me on this slate, actually.
Yeah, very, very good play. I just stopped the tournament range of outcomes. Mo.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Ryan. You said you're not playing any Real Madrid pieces. Now, I know that's probably talking about cash. I think, as you kind of said, cash ends up being a bit straightforward here because so many of the pieces you might consider to be cash favorable are not that expensive. But in tournaments, I got to ask you, your man is 4.8. He's always live for a goal. City concede lots of really, let's say, just opportunities and goals. And you've also got Camavinga at 3.5, who's my personal favorite. Are any of those pieces appealing to you? Is there any other pieces in the Real Madrid kind of setup that are appealing to you in tournaments?
Yeah, I think both of them are appealing. I really like both those guys, like you. I think I was gonna say Valverde is a little bit like Rodri in a way. I mean, he's gonna play 90 minutes. They do some of the same things. They score long range goals, sort of goals off set pieces and broken plays and that kind of stuff. Just like guys that are gonna be out there and are just great players is really the argument. And yeah, I like if City take the lead, I see Madrid coming back and creating chances. I mean, this is a great team. We saw what happened last time. So I'm not going to play them in cash, but yeah, I do have interest in those guys for tournaments and kind of all the Madrid pieces.
Who's the penalty taker for Real Madrid? I noticed that it's kind of been spread out takers. Is there any clarity on that situation?
I'm pretty sure it would be Vinny. I'm pretty sure. I don't. Am I wrong, Mo? I mean, I don't know. I'll try to check quickly.
Yeah, I'm also checking, but that's my first guess as well.
Well, I'm pulling up the tool on RotoWire, so this is why I asked. So I guess if you follow on a day-to-day, but I mean, has Vinny taken a penalty? We have a penalty.
Am I wrong? I saw him take one like a month
Rodrigo
in a big spot.
Maybe it was in a cup match or something like this, but we have all of the league games and the Champions League games in the RotoWire cheat sheet. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Please be a member if not already. You get just one click, see who has taken penalties in league and Champions League play for Real Madrid. Bellingham's taken one. Joselu has taken two. Obviously, Joselu is not taking one. I would guess it's Vinny as well, but it doesn't really seem clear who would take the penalty. Like, if the penalty was late and Luka Modric took it because it was vital, that wouldn't surprise me as well. He's a total legend. Shout out Modric if you're watching the stream. I'm repping his kit right now. It was a knockoff, like a 20 euro that I got. Like everything like melts in the laundromat when you send it. But I don't know. I was just wondering. It seems like it could be a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. So the most recent penalty Yeah, I see. Hosalu took that one. He missed. I mean, he's not going to play, but he would never take it anyways. Vinny took one in the cup against Barca in a really important spot. That was their last penalty on January 14th, at least that I see.
So probably Vinny.
I just see him grabbing it. But yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know for sure, but
I don't know. I was wondering if Jude might take it.
yeah,
but
he would be the one. Like, you got to think, like, who's going to overrule Vinny? Like, it's one of those guys.
one of those two, I think.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't be surprised if it Modric on a late pen. But yeah, that's the midfield position. A lot of options. I don't know. Any last takeaways before we dig into the defender position?
Not
All right.
really. I don't know who. Yeah, who did we not talk about?
Yeah, we did talk about it. I'm sure there's some punts who you can play. Like Kamavinga is capable of scoring a goal at 3,500, but I don't know. That type of stuff is tough to predict. But moving on to the defender position, it's probably the weakest position overall on the slate. The Gvardiol hack is no longer a hack. The DraftKings algorithm has figured out that he is a pretty good play. He is now 5,300 after his recent good goal scoring form. I mean, sure, you could go there as a contrarian option, but that's not a priority. And then there's a huge gulf, and you're looking at most everyone is just under 4,100. So a lot of people like to play Ben White in the construction last week. I mean, he's fine at 4,100. Just about all these guys, as long as they're not fullbacks to Real Madrid, look like decent plays. My impression was just, click. Well, I guess I shouldn't click Zinchenko if he starts if it's a horrible defensive matchup, but you can just click two $3,500 fullbacks and hope things go well. I don't know. I think I'll just pick the forwards and midfielders I want to play, and then whatever defender fits, screw it. I mean, I don't think anyone's a priority here. But Ryan, how do you see the defender position? Like, what if Rafael Guerrero starts? Would that change your opinion?
Yeah, I was wondering about that because he does take a set here and there. He did over the weekend. He started over the weekend. I'd expect him to take a set or two if he starts. I'm not quite sure it's enough. I think it's fine if you want to, but I'm still not even quite sure that he's better than Gvardiol. Just guy's the GOAT. I think Mo played him over the weekend because he wins on every single city slate, but Jack, I think, convinced me to swap off Gvardiol.
Oh, I played Gvardiol. I tried to say I want to play Gvardiol, and they're like, "Oh no, this cheap guy's fine."
Hey, I'm the original Gvardiol touter. I mean, I would out of my way to tout this guy. I mean, yeah, okay, I don't know.
And anyway, now look at it. DraftKings has him priced up at 5,300. They heard. You've ruined the game for yourself, Ryan.
I'm tilted because I got off him on my main lineup over the weekend, and it was like a thousands of dollar swing. But yeah, I still think he's the best option on this slate, but I would want to punt. Just, 5,300 is too much for this spot. 5K for Guerrero's okay. But I don't know. I think I would rather just punt both spots and play, the 5 outfield players that I want to play. I don't know. Maybe you guys can convince me differently.
I don't know, Mo. What's your defender crystal ball say for the tomorrow slate?
So just to start on Gvardiol, I feel like 3 or 4 games ago, Pep discovered, for the first time in 50 games, that Gvardiol can actually play offense instead of just being like a rock in the back. And he started just whipping in cross after cross. Then he got a goal after goal. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. And so, if the game ends up or starts KG or they're chasing at any point, there is the game where he had a bunch of crosses on here, because it might have been a cup game. I'm not sure. But there was a game where you had literally 7 crosses or something.
6 crosses against Arsenal.
Yeah, there you go. That's what started all the madness. So if it's a tight game, which it could very well be, he's going to be very favorable among a bunch of defenders who really don't seem like they have much likelihood to get anywhere near the same range. So I think I'm going to have some exposure to him because of that. Again, not really speaking cash here. This is more of a tournament thought. To Ryan's point, if Tomiyasu starts and he's at 2.8, I mean, I'm going to be very interested in that. I know he doesn't have much offense, so he played mostly defense throughout the game. But, for 2.8, the upside is dirt cheap. From there, it's really hard to say. A Kanji at 3.9 isn't too bad. If other City pieces get in the mix, like Nathan Ake, is he fit? I'm not sure. But if he is, that's another contender. Not really too many pieces here that I like. So, those are kind of the names that I'm considering initially.
I don't think you have to talk down Tomiyasu, Mo. I mean, he would be the cheapest projected option available to us. So scrolling all the way down is completely viable. And that they're a fullback playing for Arsenal, that's not so bad whatsoever. I like Ruben Diaz at 3,300 for the lack of fouls committed narrative. I don't know, Ryan, who are your favorite punts?
I have Ruben Diaz and Tomiyasu in my placeholder. It seems very easy if those are the starting lineups. So yeah, I agree with both you guys. The other thing I was going to say, what are the odds that no defender scores over 10 points on this slate? Or that, it can't be more than one, right? Look at the defenders it's about as bad overall as you can get. At least I think so. I mean, and that sort of boosts the argument, I think, for a Gvardiol, especially when you combine that with maybe the lack of floor on the rest of the slate. So yeah, I'm warming to it after the sell by Mo. And you don't need to sell me on Gvardiol. Guy is just unbelievable. He's an absolute unit. Guys just can't compete with him physically. So yeah, I might have to get back on Gvardiol here. I don't think people will want to pay 5,300 for him. That's for sure.
I think you can fit him though in a balanced construction. Even if you play Saka and KDB, you just can't play someone 7K and up in the outfield, or maybe you can only play one of them. But there are options, 5 to 6K to play. I think the route there is to play Gvardiol, and it might be a slate, Ryan, where it's the old thesis. You just don't have to be perfect at the other positions because Gvardiol is the only guy who gave you 12 free points, and that's like a 1-goal cushion that you have ahead of other lineups potentially. I definitely think that there's something to that.
Yeah, and it also, in some cases it could be Guerrero. I don't know if he starts. There's scenarios where he has a decent game, takes a couple corners.
Yeah, I do know he gets subbed early. I think that's something I noticed in his game logs, about 70 minutes. So that doesn't make him a must to me, but
at least Alphonso Davies is out, so that's at least
that is
something that you could get a few extra minutes, or maybe a miracle 90. You never know.
Yeah, maybe Tuchel doesn't want to sub on Mizraoui in the 75th minute as the guy who saves the team. Maybe more attacking subs get made. I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't know. You're just gonna pick your favorite guy. Maybe you get a set piece goal, but I think I agree overall with the diagnosis of the defender position. Any final takes, or should we talk about a goalkeeper? Our favorite position.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna just
go ahead.
Just the other guy is Benny Blanco. I mean, he did it last week. He sort of always does it. Nobody wants to play him. 4,100. If Gvardiol and Guerrero doesn't do it, he's only 4,100. He can beat the center backs. He's been getting some crosses in lately, getting some assists. Saka looks for him on overlaps a little bit more, but guy's just been in great form. Yeah, sorry, Jack. I just had to get a Benny Blanco shout in there.
It tilts me, but I think you're right.
Good. I mean, that's kind of why I said it. I need you to be tilted a little.
I hate that guy, but a decent player. What can you say? Mo, do you have any final thoughts? I feel like we keep interrupting you.
No, not interrupting at all. I think one of my biggest struggles is, despite the cheap prices for a lot of guys on the slate, I will not be able to jam Haaland, Saka, and KDB and then get much from the rest. And so, I think that's going to be one that's going to be forcing me to make a lot of maneuvers across lineups. And so it may be where Gvardiol gets cut. It may be where Saka or Haaland gets cut. And I know a lot of people are going to say, and maybe a lot of people are already saying that, Haaland's floor versus Real Madrid in this kind of matchup is not going to be that great. But the PK appeal and the price is also really nice. So those are going to be the big decisions to work through for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be easy to play Gvardiol in a reasonably optimal way whatsoever if you're spending up for those three guys. So you're definitely going to have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, that is a good point because you really can't afford that. And it should, like, I was thinking of the same thing when I was going through some builds and trying to make those lineups. And someone like Sacco, who you'd normally just jam, you can consider fading. Like he's not like a sure thing to be optimal. He doesn't have a massive floor in this spot. So yeah, I think that's a good point.
I think you're just mostly avoiding the goal with Saka. Like if he delivers 15 points, that might not be enough at his price tag, given the.
I mean, that's kind of like what we were saying with Kimmich too, though. If Arsenal score first and it's not Saka and he doesn't get the assist, like you're gonna be lucky if he gets over 10 in certain scenarios. I mean, even last slate he had 12 floor points. Yeah, in a game that Arsenal were chasing like the whole game. So I mean, 10 floor points here might be pretty tough.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Jack, can you read my mind on who I think is definitely my favorite goalkeeper play for tomorrow's slate?
Let me see. I have the crystal ball. It's not Ederson. I think the goalkeeper that you like most is going to be a certain home goalkeeper who might be facing a lot of shots from a desperate North London side, Manuel Neuer at 5,000. Reasonably affordable. There is some save upside. You get a cheer against the Arsenal. Tell me I'm right, Mo.
You're wrong. You were close.
Brutal.
You're wrong. I am a sucker for Lunin in these spots. I just think there's going to be a lot of shots that he's going to face. I think this is a script that Courtois went through, at least in the first leg, maybe, where there's just so many shots he faced. He had already like 5 saves before anything went in. Look, I mean, Lunin's been incredible in some games. He's been awful in other ones. And so, I can't guarantee he's going to deliver, but he is my favorite play. That's where I'm going to go in a lot of my lineups.
He's one of the few options, Lunin, who at 4K, you can actually save some money. Like we didn't have any spread at goalkeeper today. It was like a $600 range, but now we have a $1,500 range. So if you're just a little bit choppy, Mo, sorry. But yeah, I heard you loud and clear on the Lunin stuff, especially if no team keeps a clean sheet overall. I mean, then you probably just want to be the one who spends the least amount at goalkeeper. So that does give some appeal for Raya and Lunin. I don't know, Ryan, who are you going to be playing at goalkeeper? Are you going to be going full Arsenal fandom and playing Raya, or are you going to look for the other game maybe to be more cagey?
I mean, I really like Lunin. I agree with everything that you guys said. But yeah, I'm going to play some Raya too, for sure. I mean, come on now. Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal fan. They got great defense. I mean, I still kind of think, yeah, we're going to go out there and we can win 1-0 tomorrow. I can see that. I thought you guys were going to say Neuer. Does seem like a great spot for Neuer too. If I wasn't, heavily invested in Arsenal, I'd be playing Neuer in this spot because it's one of those where you can see a desperate side from North London that just can't score. The same thing that happened against Villa. Same thing that's happened multiple times in very important spots for Arsenal. And, you have everyone complaining that they don't have a center forward. The same thing will happen again. You can see them really struggling. So, yeah, Neuer makes sense. We talk about playing those type of keepers in Champions League, but I'm probably on the cheap guys. Yeah, I think Arsenal are going to win. I think Madrid could win. I think Lunin has save upside even if he gets scored on. But yeah, play whoever you want.
One thing I'll add is if Odegaard doesn't start, my interest in Neuer is going to go way up, right? So
yeah,
which is interesting because Odegaard is the one who's taking the most shots from outside of the box, so there is that. But I also think the win percentage for Bayern goes way up, so I would add that as a note.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I'll add is we got $100 price discount on Ederson here. DraftKings thought Ortega would be starting, priced him at 56. See Ederson at 55. So jump on those savings.
Grind every single micro edge. Love to hear it from Ryan, the goalkeeper knit. I think I've said something like that in the past, though. I think we've dug into just about everything. I don't know, awesome to have Mo on the show. Mo, why don't you give the people a flag plan? Someone who
We
they
needed
can
Mo on the
rely
show
on.
today.
We did need him. He brought more positive energy. It would have been too negative. But Mo, if you can hear me, we need a flag plant. We can't give the flag plant. It's just not working out. The people need a winner. Give them a winner.
So the audio cut out for a little bit there, but I heard most of it. You said you want a flight plan.
Yes.
With,
Oh, I think yeah, flag plants. I
who's
think
going
we're
to be
losing you.
the winner?
Yeah. Who's going to be the winner?
Sorry, Jack. The audio's not.
That's okay. That's okay. We won't make it. We will put it in the Discord. So rotowire.com/chat. Ryan, who is the flag
I
plant?
mean, I don't know. This isn't a flag plant, but I've just realized we went we went an hour without mentioning the GOAT, Bernardo Silva. He just came out and scored in the second minute last slate. 7,800. I mean, he's 2,500 cheaper than Foden. Why not?
I can think of a lot of reasons.
Jack,
why
you
not.
played Bernardo Silva. You played him in cash last slate. You were jamming him. Like, we didn't even talk about this stuff. Like, people just, what was he last slate? 6,800, and he's like 7.
You admonished me, Ryan. You told me that I should play Grealish for 800 cheaper. That happened on live YouTube.
That actually gave me some renewed hope in the lobby. Like, I mean, what are we doing here where Grealish is like 20-some%, Foden for 9,200. I could have came back to this too, even Foden versus Vinny. Think if we could go back a week and that lineup comes out without KDB. I mean, I did this, but Foden was like 60-some% owned. Vinny was like 25. He was cheaper. City were on the road. Madrid are at home. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So there was that, and there was the fact that nobody played Grealish when, he's the only guy that takes right-footed sets. Like, oh, yeah, let's jam Foden, even though Bernardo's in there. He might take his sets. I don't know, man. So that gave me some hope at least, but it still didn't matter. I mean, it lost anyway. So,
This is brutal. Going back from the grave to mock the Bernardo Silva play, who had taken some set pieces just because I don't know the foot of every single player in Europe like Ryan Belongia does.
I hate to come on this show, and it seems like I come on this show and just complain every time now, but it's all I have. I mean, I'm losing all the shit, so I have to just come on here and bitch and rip on people for bad plays and stuff because I'm losing. So what else? What else can I do?
Oh my God. I can't believe that just happened. I think you're right about Grealish, Ryan, so I'll capitulate. But also, I play the best plays, and he scored a beautiful free kick goal. Whoa, you're back.
Jack, it's in Rodri we trust. It's in Rodri we trust. Not in cash again, but in tournaments, you just wait. Everything will be looking like it's going swimmingly for the cash players, and then Rodri will come and blow it all up. So that's my pick as the winner that makes it all happen.
I think that's a good choice. I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised to hear Ryan hating on me for the Bernardo Silva. I don't like Bernardo Silva here. The person who is going to be in the winning tournament lineup is going to be Jude Bellingham at 7,300, who gets a solo brace, and then you can just flood your lineup with Arsenal and Bayern players. I just gave you the keys to the slate, everyone. So please don't dupe me, though. I would rather not chop with you or play in a head-to-head for a King of the Pitch qualifier. But it has been about 58 minutes. Thank you all for joining us. Mo, thank you so much for coming on. It's always great to have another perspective. It's always fun to have you on the show. We'll have to have you back some other time. On behalf of all of us, myself, Mo, and Ryan. Thank you so much for tuning in to the RotoWire After Dark shows. We will have a Champions League final one, and maybe we'll do a couple solo streams for Showdown. But it's been so much fun doing these shows, breaking them down. It's been a lot of tilt, but I think we may have learned something. We may have had even some fun, dare I say, along the way. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all of your patronage. And most importantly, good luck unless I'm in your contest. You can play second. Adios, everyone.
Good luck, everybody.